Hello, you crazy cats and kittens. No, we're not going to do that. I'm not Carol Baskin or Joe Exotic, but I do specialize in something else, different kind of animal, the dance shoe. I'm super excited to do these video series. Thanks for tuning in. Yesterday's success told me that you guys actually care, so I'll keep them going. My name is Ilya Kolosov. I do dance shoes in the United States, and I represent AIDA Dance USA. Yesterday we talked about how is a dance shoe supposed to fit, and today we're going to talk about heels, different shapes, what are the heels for, why, and I will answer some questions from yesterday that a few of you wrote in the comments. Cassidy Johnson asked me about practice shoes and how they're supposed to fit. This is a very good question. A lot of people don't understand this, so I will explain it once and for all. Our practice shoes are made with a split sole, meaning there's nothing here. What's going on is a thin metal wire that bends when needed, and there's a very short shank that ends about here. It's tiny, like maybe an inch. And that's it, there's nothing, just empty space and the suede bottom. So if you've ever been on a suspended bridge, what happens is, in addition to engineering, the metal cords are holding up the entire bridge. In the same way, these laces hold up the bottom of the shoe. So for the shoe to feel tight and right, one would pull on the laces and create a suspension by the tension of the shoe itself. If these eyelets are meeting and touching like this, that means you're nullifying the entire suspension system. Practice shoes are never supposed to have their eyelets meeting. There has to be a healthy parallel gap in between. If your shoes are touching or if they're just like crazy wide apart, that's not good. So this is too wide and this is not wide enough. So if your practice shoes are like that, and the bottom of your feet are always in pain, that's why. There's nothing supporting your foot, and you gotta get that taken care of. You're doing more damage by wearing an improper shoe than whatever money you're saving. Cassidy, thank you for that awesome question yesterday, and as a result of that, you're the winner of this t-shirt. I'll reach out to you later about sizing and how to get it over to you. Let's move on to the actual show. I have lined up in front of me a whole bunch of shoes for you. So get excited. I'm gonna finally tell everybody what's up with these damn heels and what's all the fuss about. So generally, for women's shoes, there is either a slim or a flare. So this over here is called a flare heel. It flares out on the bottom, like the pants in the 70s. This over here is a slim heel known as stiletto. It's just one straight line down. That's it. That's the major difference. Now, if we go beyond that, all we're really looking at is different heel heights of these variations. So the shoes start with 3.5 inches. This is a 3.5 inch heel right here. Then they go to 3.2. Here's a 3.2 inches. If you can look at these lines here, you'll see the difference is minuscule, but you'll still feel it. Then we go to the 3 inches. Same thing here. 3.2 versus 3 is very small, but you'll feel it. Then we move on to 2.5 inches. Now you really feel the difference. And then there's the tiny, cute little 2-incher. That's generally for young people or people who need as much support as they can. And all of these come in just two shapes. You can either have a flare heel, flares out on the bottom, or a slim heel. The height is the same. Why would anyone wear whichever in different situations? Let's talk about that. So rule of thumb generally is if you're doing Latin or rhythm, you wear a slim heel. The reason why is you're always on the ball of your foot as a lady, and when you do need to balance yourself, you just tap against the floor real quick and you go back to the ball of your foot. For standard and smooth, you're generally on the flare heel because the lady leans back and then she pivots on the heel while the man or partner is holding her. So it's much easier to lean back and pivot on a curvature than it is on a stiletto. There's nothing to pivot on. At the same time, it's much easier to tap the floor with a stiletto heel as opposed to an incongruent surface that's got a curvature and two sharp 90-degree angles. The major misconception here is more surface area means more stability. Well, yeah, if you're standing on it, but when are you ever really hanging out on the back of your heel while doing a jive? Not so much. So my personal recommendation is slim heel for Latin and rhythm and flare heel for smooth and standard. A quick notice, I am not a podiatrist or a doctor. I just sell shoes and talk for a living. So if you need a consultation, don't take my word for it. This is me sharing my decade of experience touching feet. Betty Davis asked something really nice. She said, what's the difference between standard shoes and smooth shoes? The difference is one is for standard and the other one is for smooth. I'm kidding. Here are the shoes. So this is a standard shoe. It's a pump or boat, I like to call it. I just make up these names. I've never danced in my life. I just kind of wing it. And this is a smooth shoe. Come on. Yeah. Basically, it's the same thing, just with the sides cut out. The reason is, in standard dancing, you need as much support as you can get. Your foot needs to be almost like in a cast. You don't want to have a lot of fluidity there because you're focused on other things like frame. And again, I'm not a dancer, so if I say something dumb, don't laugh too hard. This is just what I've been hearing. In smooth, you do a lot of flailing and pointing. And I hear you can even let go of one hand if you want, which is a big no-no in standard. So for that, you need a range of motion, some basic flexibility. You can't do this in a standard shoe. So Betty also asked me, is there a flexible standard shoe? No. You could do smooth and standard in a standard shoe, but you cannot do standard in a smooth. First, you'll hurt yourself, and second, probably get laughed at and disqualified. Not cool. Let's move on to men's shoes. What's up with men's shoes? This is over here a men's standard shoe. There is no such thing as a smooth shoe for men or a standard shoe for men. It's just this. It's a 2 centimeter heel or about 1 inch, and there's nothing else to say. Moving on. Oh, well, actually, there is something to say. Same thing as I explained about the practice shoes. There's same concept about the suspension system. There's also a split sole here. So if your eyelets are meeting on a standard men's shoe, you're in trouble. Get that taken care of. These holes are not supposed to touch. There's supposed to be space in between. Okay, let's get to the fun part of men's Latin shoes. So men's Latin shoes come in 3 different heel heights. There is a 3.5 centimeter heel, super low, 4 centimeter heel, that's what pretty much everybody gets, and a 4.5 centimeter heel for people who either have a tall partner or feel short and need that little boost. In general, people who are super tall get this 3.5 centimeter heel. Not a lot of people. Or if you've been dancing so long that your feet hurt. So a lot of teachers might get this 3.5 centimeter Cuban heel. It still qualifies as a Latin shoe, but doesn't strain your foot as much. 4 centimeter heel is the way to go. And 4.5 centimeter heel is if you're feeling short or need to add some height. One last final thing about the shank. So this shoe has a shank. In fact, all shoes have a shank, otherwise you'd be wearing flip-flops. Shank starts at the heel, here, and ends pretty much here. So whenever you can start to bend the shoe, that's where the shank ends. So I can feel it. It's right here. What is a shank? A shank is this metal curvature that supports you, and it's attached to the heel. The higher the heel, the more the shank is bent, and the more the shank is bent, the more strain you have on your foot. People who have foot pain generally go for the lower heel because it just really hurts to be high up in the air. So here we're flat, walking barefoot or with flip-flops, then we get a 2-inch heel elevation, 2.5, 3, and 3.5. Like, who's gonna walk like that for too long? I'm not walking like that for more than 5 dances, actually. So for the most part, my clients get 3 inches if they've been dancing for a while, and 2.5 inches if they're just starting out, 2 inches if they just want to dance but don't want to hurt themselves. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments. Tomorrow, get excited, we're going to talk about major things not to do with your dance shoes. So if you have any questions about that, leave them in the comments. I'll address them tomorrow. Whoever leaves the most interesting question or comment wins an AIDA snapback hat of your color preference, as long as it's black or white. All right, my name is Ilya Kolosov. AIDA Dance Shoes. Bye, y'all.